Whatever genius came up with the idea of grinding pecans up in with your coffee beans. How have I never had this before? I got it at my Central Market yesterday and oh my god, the smell alone is incredible and it tastes amazing and oh, I didn't think my morning coffee could get any better, but that is just what's making me happy today. Anyway, it has been cold here in Texas this week. It feels like winter, finally. Not that I haven't been enjoying the very mild and lovely fall that we've had here, but I do like seasonal feelings, and it's been kind of nice that it's been so cold outside. So today that I'm filming this is Thursday. Tuesday was like a winter day, gray and gloomy, and I woke up that morning and my only thing on my planner for the day was to finish writing out all the beats for Act 1 of Dragon Balloon. If you guys remember from last week's vlog, I had started doing this already, and Act 1 was the one where I had the most beats, but I wanted to really, like, some of them were really vague. I wanted to get them to be a little more specific, and I did it. It was a great day. Just spent kind of not just adding those beats to the post-its, but I also opened up my document, my one Dragon Balloon document that I have so far. I haven't moved into Scrivener or any other software yet, and wrote out all of the Save the Cat beats, and then started writing down what was on my note card, my post-its, just to help me keep track in the document. And I hadn't planned on it, but I started getting ideas. Like for that opening image, I just went through and kind of rambled out a summary of how I see that scene going. It's not in order. It's not like the kind of outline in that kind of shape that I would like give to a client or show anybody. It was just kind of like a free write of my thoughts on what I want to see happen in that scene and where the main character's like emotional state is. And then I ended up doing that for most of the beats in the first act once I had it all plotted out, which was great. I felt like, man, this is more than I had planned on doing. I just wanted the beats there, you know? So, but here's the thing, and I know this is gonna happen. It's only because it's Act 1. Act 1 is always the easiest for me. The one problem, and I think Save the Cat, if it taught me anything, it taught me that I have this problem, and it taught me how to fix it, which I really appreciate. When I get an idea for a novel, one of the first scenes I see is the inciting incident or the catalyst. But it's not always actually the catalyst. I've had the problem before where I start a book too early in the story or I start a book too late in the story, and it's because of what I think is the catalyst versus what that scene actually is. So for example, with this book, with Dragon Balloon, I did not make this mistake, but it's something I would have done in the past. The main character in this book, her older sister has recently died. And that's something that could easily be a catalyst for a story, but it's not the catalyst for this story. It happens before the start of the story, a few months. I haven't worked out the exact timeline yet, but definitely within the last year, probably closer to 6 months. And while that's a huge life-changing event, it is not the catalyst because it is not the thing that sets the character's story into motion. It is the thing that has largely shaped her current status quo, her mental state and her emotional state, and the state of her family. Obviously they're all in mourning, they're all grieving. She blames herself for her sister's death. She thinks her family members blame her for her sister's death. She does not realize that her brother and her father blame themselves for her sister's death, and the whole family dynamic is borked. And that's what I think in Save the Cat, that is what we would call stasis equals death. When the reader knows that here is what is currently like the status quo of the main character's life, and it can't stay like this. Things are going to fall apart. They can't all go on like this. There's obviously tension. There's this thing that they're not talking about and they're not working through together. So that's why that's not the catalyst. That happens before the start of the book. Now, the thing that in the very beginning of me getting this idea, that I thought was the catalyst for a little while, was the main character meeting up with some friends of her sister that she didn't know her sister had, and kind of embarking on an adventure with them. That's not the catalyst either. That's what in Save the Cat, what you would call break into two. Because that adventure, that going away, that's act 2. That's like the character enters a new world, if you want to look at it in a hero's journey kind of way. So that's not the catalyst either. The catalyst, as I worked out, as I was beating out these things, is when the main character discovers a secret that her sister had been keeping that involves these friends, but her sister didn't know. So that was the catalyst. And as a result of this, one of my weaknesses in any story structure, but again, since I'm using Save the Cat, I'll use their terms, one of my weak spots has always been the debate scenes, which is where the main character kind of has the invitation to go on this adventure, but either they hesitate or they know they're going to go, but they make preparations. So an example I think one of the examples that Jessica Brody uses in Save the Cat Writes a Novel is in Harry Potter. Obviously, the catalyst is the invitation to Hogwarts. There's no actual debating in Harry's mind. Like, he's going, of course he's going, he doesn't have to think about it. But there are a few chapters of him going to Diagon Alley and getting all of his school supplies. There's preparation before you break into 2, and the actual Act 2 fun begins when he arrives at Hogwarts and it's a whole new world, right? So I struggle with that. And I think it's because just the word debate makes me think the main character has to, like, I don't want to write a couple scenes of a character hemming and hawing. That's boring. Nobody wants to read that, but that's not actually what those scenes are supposed to be. And I think in my character's case, there is going to be some hesitation on her part to just jump in to this adventure because she's grieving her sister. She's feeling guilt over her sister's death. There's unanswered questions about the accident that happened that killed her sister. And she's now adding on top of that guilt about digging into her sister's secrets. Her sister kept these secrets for a reason. And, you know, I think it's natural that she would feel some hesitation there, but there's also going to be some preparation, and there's going to be some conversations with her family. And what I arrived at with my debate is that her brother, who is going through his own issues with what happened to their sister, there are some conversations that she needs to have there and some things that she needs to learn from him and about him there that will contribute to the conflict in the debate scenes before she makes the decision to go off with her sister's friends and Act 2 truly begins. So anyway, that was really long-winded. That's just to say I worked through a lot of Act 1 stuff, not just for this story, but in realizing my own weaknesses with the beginnings of stories, and hopefully this is something that I can continue to like use in the future for future books. So today, Thursday, my goal is to start hashing out Act 2A, or the first half of Act 2, because Act 2 is, you know, the big 50% middle chunk of your book. I don't know, I want to do half of that, and I would like to have the beats for that worked out by this weekend. So I'm not going to finish it for this vlog, which goes up tomorrow. This is the fun and games section, which is fun. It's fun to beat out if you think of it in terms of like a movie trailer. The majority of a movie trailer is the fun and games. It's like the premise of the book, the promise of the premise, they call it. And if you're writing a fantasy, this is where all kind of like the magic and fun really begins. I'm not gonna say fun and games is a weakness of mine. I love coming up with fun and game scenes. I often find that when I outline, this part comes out too thin, but then when I draft, sometimes it's too bloated. And that's because I'm bad at, I don't want to say I'm bad at it, but I don't put enough of my B story into my outlines. And then I think of them as I'm drafting, but they kind of get away from me. Like in a few cases, side characters that I end up absolutely fall in love with, and I fall in love with their B story, it kind of takes over the whole act 2 and the main character's story. So I'm gonna try to be more mindful of that when I write these beats, and hopefully get it filled out an appropriate amount without going too overboard with the B story. I do have a vague idea for the midpoint, which I love doing midpoint twists. And I have a vague one there. I'm talking like, this isn't it, but something along the lines of, so-and-so discovers magic is real. That's not my midpoint twist, but that's an example to show you like, okay, it's an idea, but it's also super vague. What does she discover? Like that's what I really need to work on, because I need to know what I'm building towards. So, and then one other thing that I'm having issues with is the details of the secret that the big sister was keeping, and the details surrounding exactly how she died. I just have a few pretty vague, unformed ideas around that, and I can tell that now that I'm into Act 2, I really need to lock that down if I'm going to get really good, solid beats worked out, you know, for the rest of the book, honestly. Anyway, so I did not intend to ramble on this long, but that is my goal for today. So let's see if I can get her done. Cheers. Okay, so after I said all that and I sat down and got to work, I immediately realized, and this was probably obvious when I was talking about it, but I realized that the most important thing and the most helpful thing I can do right now is figure out the big sister, and specifically like kind of tell her story up and leading up to her death. I really needed to work out all the details of the secret and what happened with her accident and what was going on with her and these friends that the main character is going to meet, you know, at the end of Act 1. I just needed to work all that out. And it was all just way too nebulous in my mind, and you know, you just kind of hit a point in brainstorming where the vagueness doesn't cut it anymore, and you really gotta like start lining things up. So I just opened that document and I wrote Haley's story, and then I just started kind of working it out. I started with who is she, what's her personality like, what's her situation like, you know, with her relationship with her family and at school and her friends, and what led her to making these other friends that her family didn't know anything about, and you know, what secrets was she keeping that the main character is going to discover. And then of course, like, and here's where I'm kind of stuck right now, to be honest, the night she died, what led her to do what she did that led to the accident. Again, very vague idea, but that's not enough, and I really need to work that out. And I think it's gonna take me a little while to really pick through this, and you know, I have to get this vlog edited and uploaded for tomorrow, so that's not gonna be very exciting to just watch me sit around and think, so I think I'm going to end this vlog here. But I'm hoping that over the weekend I'm going to get that on my whiteboard, get that Act 2A fun and games section all the way through the midpoint, nice and lined up with all the beats, once I figure out what is going on with this big sister. Do you think this is a bone? There's my finger. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this vlog. I hope you guys are having a really great, nice, wintry week, and let me know how all you're writing, if you're writing right now, how that's going in the comments below. If you're taking some time off, I hear ya. I hope you're enjoying it, and I will see you guys Monday with another video. Bye.